And so it was just a lot of different things going on. And so I just felt like I lost my mind. And I just remember being in an ambulance going to the hospital.
All right, welcome back, everybody. My name is Bianca Ariel. I'm a business coach and the creator of the Release and Reset series. Welcome back to I'm Glad You Asked.
And hello, I am Dominique Rice, serial entrepreneur, and we are so glad you are here for our new season first episode.
Yeah, I mean, it's really amazing. I feel like, when people start coming up to you and like, oh, I saw, that episode where you were saying this and that was really good advice on this. And I'm like, wow, people are watching our Zoom show.
Right.
So I feel like, I was like, okay, so it's time to kind of elevate it. We're in 2021 and it's really time to take it to the next level. So I'm really, really excited that we're doing this.
Exactly. So it was really cool because we started off doing it just as an accountability call.
Yeah.
So I think everyone should know that Bianca and I were doing accountability calls each week and just to hold each other accountable. What are you working on? What are we doing? And those kind of things. And then we're like, hey, we should share this with the people because this is so dope. The things that we were learning and reading and sharing with each other.
That's right.
So we started doing it on Zoom.
That is right. And we were like, okay, we don't even care about the show. Let's just be consistent.
Exactly.
Let's have a Zoom call every Monday let's backtrack a little bit, 2020 overall.
Right.
So 2019, I decided to go back to Cape Town for my birthday.
Right.
So Dominique and I, along with our other friends that we met on remote year, went back to Cape Town, South Africa. And in South Africa, we were actually interviewing the owner of a Black-owned vineyard and winery, Vivian, for Seven Sisters. And then it was at that meeting that we decided to go ahead and start our own travel program, right?
Correct.
And so we were going to call it Influent. And then we had everything set up. We had our infrastructure set up. We had, bank accounts, program, itinerary, everything already ready to go. And then literally before we put the down payment on the villa for Influent,
correct,
like the day before, but you said that something was happening with the universe.
Correct. So we were getting ready to make the down payment. And I said, let's wait one more day. It was right before everything hit the fan with COVID. And I said, today's not the day that you sign contracts. We need to wait one more day.
And I was ready with the deposit, let's get it going. Okay.
And I was getting ready to go do some basketball stuff per usual, March Madness. And I said, we're going to wait one more day. I can't get to FedEx. I got to get on a flight for basketball. And it's not a good day to sign a contract. We are getting ready to sign a contract for about well over $100,000 to rent this villa for a few months. We would have been tied to over $100,000. The next day, things hit the fan with COVID, and we went on
lockdown because I was in LA and LA was on lockdown.
Yeah.
And whenever you start a new venture, people that care about you but not necessarily are on the same path as you,
right,
they'll start putting little things in your ear, right? Like, I don't know if this is a good idea. Are you sure you want to do this? That's a lot of money to send overseas.
Right.
Have we been there and we plan to go out there and kind of vet everything out? But at this point, in order to secure this villa at this time of year, we had to make a move. But for some reason, I called Dominique and I was like, I don't know if we should send the money. And we went on lockdown. So travel was out.
Correct.
So that was essentially our financial plan as entrepreneurs. That was our plan for 2020. We were going to create this great travel program. We were going to take professional women over to Cape Town, South Africa, and unfortunately, we couldn't do it. So we had to pivot.
Correct.
And that's when Black and Influential was created. So go ahead and tell us a little bit about that.
It was born. So it came from the idea. We decided to pivot and cultivate a new brand. Mm-hmm. Neither Bianca or I have really personally sold product. So Bianca being a business coach, myself being a business consultant, we help people sell their products all the time.
Yeah.
So we're like, let's take our knowledge and sell our own stuff.
Let's take our service-based knowledge and then create a physical product.
Exactly.
And so Influent, we called our travel program Influent because it's kind of a play on word on affluent. So we were focusing and targeting on professional women.
Right.
So, but I changed the A to IN to include influence, right?
Right.
And I was like, why don't we have a t-shirt that just says Black and Influential, that's very powerful, inspirational,
Exactly.
and something that's going to help us tell the stories of our own legacies through our apparel, right? Everything was pretty much going well, and then our personal endeavors started to get into the way.
Right.
And I think with 2020, it was a difficult year for everybody.
Right.
But I think for us, especially as entrepreneurs, you've been doing this thing for forever. I personally quit my 6-figure career to become an entrepreneur this year. And then COVID hits. So now I'm like in a position where I need to start making money. And not only that, I went through a transition where I had a partner that was extremely supportive. And then all of a sudden she just leaves. So Dominique, I don't know if you're comfortable sharing, but I know that you had something similar happen to you. And I just wanted to talk to you about your experience.
Yeah.
Because I talk about my experience in my Release and Reset series. So
Yeah. I mean, I've always had really bad anxiety.
okay.
So I've struggled with anxiety for a long time, and I really work hard on controlling it. I'm doing better at understanding it through journaling, finding out what time of year makes me more stressed. Like, my family's very into sports. So basketball season, like, it's so much fun and we get so excited about it, but because our livelihood relies on it, you know, it's not it's fun and we love it. It's like the best. But also it's like, oh my God, you know, so like it's heightened stress. So I have to acknowledge that. Okay. So this year I did recently have a little small nervous breakdown. And it was really intense.
Okay. And so can you like what happened?
Well, you know, relationship-wise, I was on and off dating someone, very, very on and off for a while now, and it was just kind of the final straw, and I felt like I had a lot of internal battle, because when you really love and care for someone, and you know someone loves and cares for you, but you're not made to be together, that's a really hard internal battle. Yeah. You know, and so fighting that, you know, growing multiple businesses, you know, I own multiple nanny agencies. You know, co-own Black and Influential. I just started a real estate company. So I do business consulting, you know, so I wear a lot of different hats, you know. And so it was just a lot of different things going on. And so I just felt like I lost my mind. And I just remember being in an ambulance going to the hospital.
And so I think, you know, from other people's perspectives, I think that they see, you know, independent women moving and going and shaking and kind of doing, you know, traveling and things like that nature. They really don't take the time, especially Black women, and think about what's going on internally. Right. And so even me, I didn't even know you went to the hospital. Yeah. So how did you end up in the ambulance, and at what time, like at what point was it just too much for you to handle?
You know, it was a little incident at the airport. You know.
And when she says little incident, it means it was a big incident at the airport.
But I asked them, I was like, I think I need to go to the hospital. I think I'm having a nervous breakdown.
Why do you feel that Black women don't have permission to be tired?
You know, first of all, I don't feel like Black women are heard. So my anxiety personally manifests as being a bitch. Okay. So when I have anxiety, people are like, oh my God, she's so rude. And it's like, I'm just like on edge. And it's like, I really don't mean it that way. For instance, when we were in line at valet, I was waiting for my mom to get her car, and because my purse was in her car, and people were honking behind me. I'm like, you guys aren't even supposed to be over here. Like, hold on one second. I'm trying to give her the money to tip the guy and then find a place to pull over so I can wait for my purse. And the valet guy just comes over, rolls his eyes, and is like, and I'm like, who are you talking to? Yeah. And so I had to read him, but I read him his rights.
But I was also there in the situation. So you rolled down the window and he was like, you need to pull up. Like, you need to at least pull around. And like, his tone was very aggressive with you. Right. And I know that, Dominique, your personality can be big at times. And I think I'm really big on accountability and understanding if we're in a stressful place, we don't need to put that onto other individuals. But being around you, I see the way that people, you know, approach you. And I think because your response is bigger than their approach, then you're automatically labeled as a bitch or a B or whatever. And I think that it comes down to respect, but also I think there's an underlying issue, because the reality is, in that situation, even though I'm not going to get involved, I'm going to look at my phone because I'm not really a talker. In that situation, if you were a white man, he would not have spoken to you that way. Right. I don't know what the connection is, like, as us as a people, where we just feel like we have this comfort level to where we can just start talking to each other at a different level. Right. And I think that has to change.
For sure. And my thing was, I'm on edge. I'm having panic attack after panic attack. You don't know me. And I'm in my purse trying to find a tip for you. Right. And you're talking to me crazy. I'm like, okay, no tip. It's over, buddy. My mom doesn't have any cash. So I'm trying to make sure you're straight. Merry Christmas. You know what I mean? So it's just like, but that's the thing. But I wouldn't have reacted like that if I wasn't having anxiety.
Right.
But my anxiety triggers as being rude and aggressive and not nice and not able to, and I didn't even process what I was saying. The words came out without me even formulating it. Like, it just was like, blah.
And that's something that you kept mentioning too. And we were trying to take the time to figure out where your anxiety is coming from.
Right.
And when you're managing different projects in different sectors, you're stimulating different parts of your brain at the same time.
Right.
But when you're overseeing multiple different projects, you're stimulating so many different elements in your brain that it's hard to keep track.
Yeah.
And there is a difference between being in distress and eustress.
Right.
So distress is something from a negative impact from a negative event, and eustress is just exciting, positive stress that's coming from a lot of new and exciting opportunities. But people don't understand that it weighs the same on your brain, and you still have to take the time to, really self-reflect and meditate in order to really get those stress levels down.
Right.
So something that we came up with was, for you especially, is to go back into yoga.
Right.
And you're going to reach out and kind of go through those private sessions.
Exactly. Yeah. So I actually emailed them today to follow up, because that's something that I have to take the time for. And people don't even realize, my brain is constantly working. I think sometimes I'm even working in my sleep. I can wake up and be like, oh, I already did that in my streams. I can tell that I'm working in my sleep because I start grinding my teeth at night. I have to wear my linear retainer again. That's when I know I'm like, okay, something's going on. So just really being mindful of the signs. And then I want to take it back to when I did have my little breakdown. My experience was I can't even have a nervous breakdown in peace because I had to go into advocacy there because there was a young lady on drugs for sure, having a mental health episode, and there was a white charge nurse, and she was asking for a dinner tray. She didn't eat. She's skin and bones, her you could see her ribs from her back. And she's like, you can't have a tray, you were disrespectful. And I think I about lost my mind.
Because your brain is already active, you're in there to be treated for your anxiety or your mental episode, and you're in there still your brain is still active. You don't even have the opportunity to rest.
Right.
And we should all know at this point, going to the hospital, you had no choice.
Right.
But the universe is probably trying to tell you to sit down somewhere.
Exactly. I couldn't even sit down.
Yeah.
So I had to be an advocate.
Just because you're in the hospital doesn't mean that's the perfect place for you to go.
Exactly. So I had to explain to the nurse, you may not tell her she can't have a tray because she disrespected you. It is her legal obligation. It's your legal obligation to feed a patient. And by you not feeding her, that's unacceptable. This is our hospital system for Black women. So it's ask for help. She's in here for help and you're not feeding her. She might as well be on crack on the streets.
So where do you think we can get help?
I don't know. Somebody call me and tell me.
Okay.
Please. Where can a Black woman go? Because I don't know. And I know a lot of things. I
know for me, I've tried different variations of help in the past. I've been to therapy. I also was living in Seattle, so I was about to jump off a bridge there. But I've been to therapy, and it's very important that we're selecting the right type of healing. Right. Because looking back, it was a complete venting session. She didn't touch into childhood. She didn't look at any underlying issues. Okay. We were specifically talking about surface level things, and all I did was go there every week and talk to her about everything that was going on in my life currently, and we weren't talking about anything at the root. And I know for me, I'll tell you right now, the best support and healing that I've ever received has come from myself.
Wow, from within.
Yeah. I had to mentally start changing the narrative of my past and my present. And I had to stop idolizing the future. Right. And it's unfortunately, but we look for validation in other people. We look for external resources to make us feel better. There's so many different things that we do. And at the end of the day, I can tell you all of that stuff is cool, but true healing has to come from within. Right. And the first thing you have to do is be self-aware and know that this is something that you need to work on.
Exactly. And I think the biggest thing that I had to realize yesterday when you're well, what's making you anxious? Typically anxiety comes from worrying about the future. And I'm well, I'm really not worried about the future. So what is it? Cause we good. We're really, really good. Right. My family's good. We're eating good. My whole team's good. Everybody, every gang friend, every family member, we're all good. Right. You know what I mean? So I'm where is this manifesting from? And there's no lack. And I think anxiety comes from a feeling of lack, and there's not any. and it's all good. And so I have to, like you said, do some self-awareness, do some things like that. And I think for me, just even being self-aware, like, okay, I start getting really, really having anxiety in November.
Well, is this when, I don't know about sports. Is this when basketball season starts? Okay.
So you just said that's probably a trigger, so now that I'm aware of that, I'm like, okay, so I need to make sure I'm doing self-care in November. I need to make sure, well, always, but extra self-care in November. I need to make sure that, I need to put a game plan in place to do extra yoga, extra things, so just even tracking when I'm feeling certain ways. I know in the past, I used to have to track my cycle. So when I used to have really, really extreme anxiety, it used to be based around my cycle. And I tracked that. So I'd be like, okay, 8 days before I'm going to start my period, I feel a certain kind of way. And I would get into control of that. I wouldn't make decisions on those days. I wouldn't plan important meetings on those days. So just even getting in tune with how I feel and tracking that and knowing. And to also like embrace it, like it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
Like so many people make you feel like the victim, like, oh, you have anxiety, you're rude. And then I feel guilty about it. It's like, you know what? I made a mistake. I cussed that guy out. I probably shouldn't have been so harsh about certain things. I meant what I said, and I'm not taking it back, and I'm not apologizing. But I gotta not be so harsh.
Yeah, and what you're exuding externally, it takes a toll on you as well.
Right.
So the extra energy that you're expending on people, that it's like, how do we handle people that disrespect us in a manner to where it doesn't take the energy out of us, but also like don't play with me.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because if you overexert on other people just based on their reaction, then you're giving them your power.
Right.
But at the end of the day, like, don't get it twisted.
Right.
You feel me? So
well, he needed that one.
Like she said, she is not apologizing.
Mm-mm.
But I think it's a very important conversation to have. And one of the reasons why we started this accountability, but definitely was just to really start engaging and having these conversations. So, if anybody has any self-healing or any healing measures, especially for anxiety, specifically, just let us know. So you can follow us at I'm Glad You Asked Show on Instagram. You can DM us. Or if you really just not trying to show your face, no case, you can email us at imgladyouaskedshow@gmail.com. And I'm so excited for this season and for this year.
Yes, it's awesome.
Love it. So Dominique, tell us where we can find you.
Yeah, so you guys can find me at dominiquerice.com. I do business consulting, so feel free to reach out for your consultation. For 2021, I am offering a special. Your first 1-hour consultation and action plan is only $199. So for $200, I will get your business back on track or even more on track and help you go to the next level. So contact me today. You can book directly online at dominiquerice.com for your 1-hour consultation and action plan for $199.
Awesome. And you can find me on Instagram at Hello Bianca Ariel. And please make sure you check out my YouTube series called Release and Reset, where I'm telling all of my business.
It's juicy too.
I'm on my own self-healing journey, and I feel like a part of that is addressing things that happened in the past and starting to change that narrative. And if I expect my clients to be vulnerable with me, then I have to be vulnerable as well.
Right.
So check me out, and we will see you back next time.
Yeah. Bye, guys.
Bye.
That's it. That's what we do.